we've won an Emmy since the last season came out. How has that changed things?
Up the pressure. It's made it more pressure, I suppose.
You're hilarious. It can only be viewed in a bad way.
That was nice.
Yeah. No, obviously huge. I mean, very, very gratifying, and yeah, it's wonderful.
Do you get one each? Did you have one? Yeah. Where'd you keep
So
them?
no fights.
Right.
Where do we get? Mine is still in a box because we've been finishing off this season 4 and all the posts. So but it will. Christmas. It's coming out for Christmas.
Right.
Whereas I traded mine for heroin. No, mine's still in a box as well, just sitting there.
It's on the children's channel. You know that.
Oh, is it? Right. Oh.
No.
Oh, no, it's not children's, don't worry.
Not heroin.
Mario.
Haribo.
Meths. Meths. I got crystal meth, not meths. Like the 50s or
So
something.
you got that one for San Junipero.
Yes. Sorry.
Did you see the recent story that said that Ross from Friends predicted that story about 13 years ago? And can you sort of confirm that's where he stole it from?
No.
Most of our episodes are inspired by Friends.
Yeah, well, they're all from
All upbeat, all
things
guys
Ross
having
from
a good
Friends
time.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
No.
We hadn't seen that. It's quite. I mean, I don't think that the notion of consciousness is being uploaded to a computer. I don't think that came from Ross from Friends. I'd certainly heard that concept before. So I must have stolen it from elsewhere.
He's getting too much credit, I think.
Yeah, and he's not even real.
There's another news story recently which said that Black Mirror is one of the most binge-raced shows on Netflix, which means that people bash through it really quickly. They sort of put a ranking together of the ones that people get through most quickly. Do you think that's strictly healthy, given the sort of content of it, to absorb it all in one go?
Maybe they just want the hell to be over quickly.
Yeah.
Who's that?
It's just, I'm going to get through this.
I was like, God, could this really be that bad?
Do we know if they're actually... I mean, they could be playing it. Doesn't mean they're looking at the screen. It could be like... going like that.
Yeah. I suppose that is a bit surprising, maybe, you know.
It
In
is
that
a
they
bit.
are quite some of them are weighty pieces that you might need to sort of just sit down and breathe afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose what it is, rather than that so much, because, I mean, you know, Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad, lots of those shows can be really, really heavy while you're watching it, but I suppose because we have a definite ending to each episode, that's why it surprises me possibly more, because I think that makes it feel like you've had a full meal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It feels you've eaten your dessert and everything, and now here comes a starter again. So those people are psychotic.
Also, I think because we're mostly following one single character, you do there is a personal engagement, as opposed to sort of a Game of Thrones where it's a big ensemble piece. So often it sort of feels more intimate. You've had a more intimate exploration of someone in a dilemma often. So I think it feels a little bit more, I don't know, intimate and harrowing.
Fewer dragons as well.
Fewer dragons.
Yeah. Fewer dragons,
Well, yeah, season 5.
So Black Mirror's almost become an adjective. People say that's very Black Mirror. Is it nice to sort of create something that's become such a part of the cultural conversation that it becomes a word like that?
For something so depressing. yes, it's very
It's terrifying, not depressing.
Shorthand for how bad things are. If
that were the case, that would be very flattering, I think. Yeah.
You must have heard people say that kind of thing, though.
Well, they'd say it to us,
Yeah.
but then it's hard for us to know how widespread that is as a thing, because obviously people say it to us. Oh, I saw this thing the other day, I thought, it's a bit Black Mirror. Yeah, I see that Hitachi have just made a new hat that flies and it sings to you in your sleep. Or something like that. That's a terrible example. I don't know.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. I mean, obviously that would be great because growing up, you know, I watched The Twilight Zone, which they would repeat late at night on BBC Two and Channel 4 sometimes. I don't think many people actually saw it, but almost everyone would go, well, that's a bit Twilight Zone, isn't it? Do, 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 do. So if you come up with something that has that kind of resonance with people, that's a good thing.
I bet no one would have predicted in the 50s that The Twilight Zone would be the one show that would still be referenced 70 years later.
No, they probably
didn't. Because it was
didn't.
quite a small show, you know.
Well, apparently
its time.
Yeah.
That's coming back as well, which is probably inspired by Black Mirror's success, I would think.
Well, there's a lot of anthology shows generally that are coming up at the moment. I think that's partly a cyclical thing. I mean, because anthology shows are the oldest format of television show there is, basically, apart from a test card, I think. So I think that because of on-demand platforms, it means that anthology shows suddenly become valid again, because on a traditional network, it's hard to get people to come back week after week because there's no cliffhangers. Whereas now that everything comes up to you in your magic online cupboard, that doesn't matter. So I think it's partly a fashionable thing. But if anyone's going to do it, I think Jordan Peele, because I thought Get Out was brilliant. So that would be probably really, really good. Why am I promoting someone else's show?
End that last thread.
One of the episodes in the new season is an homage to Star Trek. Are you kind of big fans of Star Trek? Or is it...
I'm not particularly a big fan of Star Trek, but I'm inspired by it, But I think that episode was just an opportunity for us to take on a new genre and to show that Black Mirror, you're constantly wanting to surprise people and don't want to be predictable, and also upping the ambition, and because it's a big epic film, and sometimes our stories are sometimes more sort of domestic and smaller, so it's nice to go on to the complete other end of the spectrum. And tonally it allows you to do different things. So the Callister film is quite comedic, it's quite a romp, even though it's still got moments of darkness and brutality. It's just something very different for Black Mirror, which is what we always strive to do.
I'm guessing the fact that Netflix has a Star Trek show reduced the risk of you being sued over it as well. Is that right? Or?
Who knows? Let's see.
I guess we'll find out. It's a totally different...
It's totally different.
Totally different thing.
Yeah.
You do attack genres. I've seen you sort of speak about this before, where sometimes the idea comes from trying to sort of reflect a genre. You haven't tackled the superhero genre yet, which is one of the big sort of things in the cinema every week. It seems like there's a new one. Is that something that interests you?
I'm not that interested in superheroes generally because there's so many of them around. And so I think if we were to do... We do often sort of think, well, what's the Black Mirror take on a musical or whatever? If we were to do superheroes, it would really... It's hard to see what that would be that hasn't kind of already been done. Yeah. Iron Man is a bit of a Black Mirror superhero story in many ways, as is Kick-Ass or something like that. So we'd have to... it would be a tricky one. And there's no shortage of them.
It's true. What is the Black Mirror take on a musical?
Well, you have to wait and see.
So will we.
It's a tuneless one.
I don't know if you can do very quick, in a nutshell, descriptions of the episodes. Is that possible?
Yeah.
All right.
So we've got this season, we have USS Callister, which is a space epic, I would say. We've got Archangel, which is a...
indie drama,
Yeah.
indie movie,
About
set in America.
Mother and daughter. We've got Crocodile, which is like a noir tech noir thriller, I would say. We've got Hang the DJ, which is as close as we get to a rom-com. Something to look forward to. We've got Metalhead, which is, how would you describe that? In a sound? It's more.
What is it? Horror?
It's almost a survival horror. I keep saying survival horror. And we've got Black Museum, which is 3 stories in one, a bit like we did White Christmas before. It's a Treehouse of Horror style, 3 stories in one. So an anthology within an anthology. I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm just trying to visually describe it. It's like that.
And you're sort of famous for nearly predicting the future. Which one of these do you least want to come true?
Metalhead.
Right.
No. Black Museum. No.
No.
Callister?
Let's say all of them. No.
Which would be worst?
I think Metalhead. I think. Yeah.
For what reason?
You'll have to wait and see.
Right.
Because it feels quite real.
Because it's about 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And just to look into the future, have you ever thought about kind of doing a cinematic Black Mirror film? Or
we would need a really good reason to do a movie, as in because we feel that they are sort of little movies basically anyway. And so unless we had an idea that needed $300 million or something like that, I think we're incredibly lucky to be doing what we're doing. And in terms of a sequel to San Junipero, no, certainly not in its current form. I don't think we'd revisit those characters unless we had a really, really good reason, and I very much doubt that we would do that as an episode or something like that. Maybe as a graphic novel or some sort of commemorative biscuit. I don't know, but I wouldn't want to. We wouldn't want to pick that apart and tinker with it because we sort of like to have left Kelly and Yorkie where they are.
Yeah.